There have been a number of efforts to try to identify in the United States what it is we mean when we say misconduct. And one of the things that happens frequently when there is a scandal or a crisis is that the law tries to make sense of it. In the United States, in the 1980s, very early on, when there were a number of cases of wrongdoing, of fabrication and falsification of data, lying about data and manipulating data so that it wasn't true, there was a federal effort, because our government funds millions of dollars of research every year, to define what the crimes of research were. And our definition came down to three things: fabrication of data, making up data, falsification of data, taking data that were true and changing them in a way to make them not true, and then plagiarism, presenting someone else's information or idea as your own. These are, for the U.S., the legal wrongdoing that can get all kinds of court response, and in one case has sent a man to jail. We typically don't put people in jail for research crimes. But around the world, this is the core, the basis of a lot of definition of misconduct. Misconduct has a legal meaning. Many people use it to mean all kinds of wrongdoing. And so there is often confusion in the language about when we say misconduct. Do we mean legal misconduct, or do we mean bad behavior? Do we mean ethical misconduct, or do we mean bad science? And because they're often intertwined, it can be difficult to know when someone uses the word misconduct, what their main concern is. So there are a number of colleagues at Washington University in St. Louis who have done a study looking at all the different ways, particularly in biomedical research, that people can get into trouble, and they have created a taxonomy of wrongdoing around a number of questions. Procedural violations are some of the most important ones. How are you working in your science? And to follow a protocol that you have written out scientifically that has been approved by the committees. Then failure to maintain records. This, I think, for my tastes, record keeping, data maintenance, and good practices in data is the most basic scientific practice that supports integrity in research. And we teach it to students very young. How to keep a notebook, how to maintain their data. But then we forget, or we don't follow up. Failure to submit proper paperwork, that's another regulatory question. Violation of confidentiality and privacy is a big issue right now in the United States, but in many countries with big data. And as we are recorded right now, where's that going? Who's saying what gets picked up? How do we protect data? Both for the science and for individuals whose data is collected. And then wrongful disclosures and getting information that perhaps you don't have a need for or access to. Failure of informed consent. We've spent a lot of time on that one. It's a very big issue in human subject research. We don't think about it quite as much in basic science. Failure to report violations. When someone does something wrong, you can forgive them. Does it need to be reported anyway?
And does this happen in your countries?
And do people look carefully? Or do they look away? For wrongdoing?
No, for reporting violations.
Yeah, well, no. If there is a violation, and I know that Lida has done something bad, do I want to report her, or is that going to get me into trouble? And so I just look the other way. So the regulatory system or even the collegial system doesn't work.
You have a policy.
Well, we don't have a policy like that. We do it. I don't know we want them to. To be honest.
You
Yes, we found one of my, my colleagues, she just started to do her research, and we found that it's not that accurate to some point. So the first thing I did, I told her and explained the design of her research wasn't that perfect, and then she did not listen. And then I told my professor about the issue. And then we gave her and we talked to her. She did not listen. And so my senior professor, we had to report to the department. And we stopped doing it. And she fired for 8 years. And just recently we told her that now she's not listening.
Did everybody hear what Tara said? Yes? No? Okay, so she explained that in her university last year, right?
Yes.
There was someone who was doing research and there were issues with the sampling size, so the number of samples that were going to be used, and those issues were pointed to her, and even though these were discussed, she did not take corrective actions, she did not modify what she was doing, and so at the end she was fired from the university. I don't know that we do that in the US.
We don't renew people. Now, the question of reporting and how to report goes back to the issue of whether there is a policy, whether there is a line of authority, whether there's someone to report to. Again, if you discover someone has made up data, do you know who to talk to who can actually do something about it? And in many cases, a failure to report is due, as in Korea, to the fact that there is not a clear policy on who to report to, what information to take, and what will happen to the person who does the report. In English, we call that a whistleblower, in the sense of the referee who stands by the line and says, no, you've crossed the line. For many people, being a whistleblower is a very scary proposition because you may end up getting in as much trouble for people who don't want to disclose bad things happening. And whistleblowers tend to lose their jobs more often than people who have done the misconduct, in our country at least. And so we now have policies on protecting the whistleblower. There are also questions here of safety, laboratory safety, which we're going to be talking about in both this afternoon and a little bit later, is a huge issue for science. It can be a very dangerous thing to work in a laboratory. And failure to maintain a safe working environment is bad for the scientists as well as for anyone else in the university. And so thinking about safety protocols is a very important form of proper research conduct and not dealing with misbehavior in safety, with unsafe situations, can be a big problem. You all have, for example, fire protection in your laboratories or in your environments. Do you have safety training?
Yes.
Things that, and dangerous chemicals or dangerous environments. You teach what? I'm
Could you
sorry.
speak up?
Feed analysis.
Okay.
Feed analysis.
So when the students come to course in the beginning, I try to explain what the safety measures.
It's interesting how from country
It's
to country,
personal.
the standards of teaching about safety vary from country to country, although occupational safety and laboratory safety systems are similar. Professionals agree, but the systems for teaching may be different. And in many countries, laboratory safety, biosafety is not part of the misconduct concern. So that it's a separate area and people don't look at that as a form of misconduct. Although it is a form of misbehavior or poor practice that is a serious issue. And then finally, conflicts of interest. Are you being paid by someone in a way that it shapes your thinking about your research? So that your answers will be different from what they might be if you were not being paid. That's an area where we have conflict perhaps with industry, which is looking for products. Scientists, basic scientists, are more often looking for answers to scientific questions, not necessarily to create products. We have spent a different amount of time talking about things than we had anticipated and have overshot our time. I think we're going to stop here and move into questions that go to this issue of mentoring. How do we teach standards of behavior to students? How do we think about the ways in which faculty and students interact? This will be Alastair.
I haven't formally been introduced apart from the introduction the first day. So again, I'm Alastair Hay. I'm from the University of Leeds in the UK. And it's my privilege to introduce this section on mentoring. So mentoring is about relationships. And it's about guidance and advice from someone who is perhaps more senior to someone who is more junior. And what we would like you to leave this session with is a better understanding of what mentoring entails. So what is it? What does it cover? What are some of the issues that arise as a result of mentoring? And we hope, and it is our intention, that after the session you'll be in a position to understand the relationships between the mentors. So that's, say, me, and I'm advising Ali here. He is my mentee. So he is the person that I am advising. He may not like the advice, but it's for him to take it or not. And it's about also teaching mentoring skills. Now, we have a resource book that we would recommend. You get all the slides afterwards. This is a book that is available. It is not something that we're in a position to give to you, but it is a reference source, a very detailed reference source that you can refer to if you would like some more advice and guidance about some of the issues. How serious is it? Well, this is a study that was done on the advantages and disadvantages of mentoring. And what the study shows is that mentoring helps to prevent certain types of misconduct. In some instances, quite incredibly, it can aggravate problems and people get ideas about doing things. So there are good ways and poor ways of encouraging mentoring. So for example, I wouldn't want to go to Ali and say, look, we can get together and we can, if we get involved in this enterprise, we can make lots of money. It's fraudulent, but nobody's going to know about it. And so if you do something that is poor practice, it can have completely the opposite consequences to what you're actually trying to achieve. So this is a large study, and it shows that there are advantages and disadvantages to mentoring. We hope that it's more the advantages that you are going to take away from this. What we're going to do, as an example of mentoring, is have a small play. So there are 3 characters in this. Me, so I have shed several decades, so it was once black, the hair, a bit more of it, longer down to the shoulders, not quite a ponytail, but nearly. And then we have Dr. Smith, who is seated in her office, and she is my supervisor, and she will be replaced eventually by my mentor, and that is Dr. Jones. So I'm a student. Dr. Smith, I'm sorry I'm late. I tried to get here on time. I know you've been trying to get hold of me, but I've had some difficulties, so I'm here anyway.
Alastair, you know why I called you in my office now, don't you? I mean, I haven't seen you in a week. What have you been doing? I need these experiments done. I'm working on a grant. I need to get some papers out. I've been waiting for this experiment.
Well, I'm really sorry, Dr. Smith. I've had some personal problems. My wife, as you know, has just had a young baby. Well, we hope she was young. She's had a baby, and we have had problems at home. And the baby has not been well, so we have been backwards and forwards to the hospital. This is one of the reasons I've not been in.
But Alastair, we talked about this. You said you would have the work done. I need the plasmid preps. I need the transfections. You need to get all the tissue culture done. We need this done, like yesterday.
I have been trying, Dr. Smith, really trying. But my family is really important to me, and I've been trying to get things done. I did try and get to see you, but I had a problem. I missed the bus, and I'm sorry.
You can walk. I mean, just walk. Can't you get here by walking?
Yes, I could, I suppose. I didn't think of that. I'm sorry. I was just so confused and so worried about what was going on.
I mean, Alastair, when I was in graduate school, I worked like 20 hours a day. 20, 24 sometimes, didn't sleep. I worry about your dedication.
I want, Dr. Smith, I did want to come and work with you, and I really do want to. I really respect what you do, the work. You have a fantastic reputation. I really want to do the stuff. I'm trying, but I just need a little bit of slack. I need to try and...
Slack? Alastair, last week I lost my hand. I'm still working on my grant. I mean, I can still do my work and write my papers, but you can't get on your feet and walk here.
Can you give me some more time? I'm so sorry about your hand. It looks dreadful.
It's painful, but I'm still working on my stuff. We still have to get these papers out. This grant is due.
Were you always right-handed?
Does that matter?
It might be working on the computer.
Alastair, if I can do this, you can do it. I know your baby's sick. I know that you don't have a car or transportation, but you have to be dedicated. You have to be able to move forward, even when things are difficult.
Can you give me some more time to do that research?
Time? I'm out of time. We have to finish this.
How am I going to do it? The demands are unreasonable.
Look, let's not talk about this now. You just need to go get that experiment done. I mean, we've discussed enough. I'm working on the grant. I want the data in a couple days, okay?
Okay.
Fine. I have to go to a meeting.
So I have to go to my mentor now. This is the person to give me advice.
Come in.
Hi, Dr. Jones. Can I have just a few minutes of your time, please?
Is it urgent?
Well, it is a bit. I can see you're busy.
I am, but if it's urgent, of course, please.
Well, I've just been to see my supervisor, and well, to put it bluntly, she is not happy with me. Well, to put it bluntly, she is not happy with me. 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 She is there was some research that she wanted me to do. She's doing a grant application. She needs the data, and I just have not been able to do it. I've had family problems. As you know, my wife had a baby, and the baby's not been well, and we have been to and fro to the hospital, and it's just really it's been a terrible time, and I've just not been able to get into the laboratory to do that.
But if I'm not mistaken, this is not the first time, right, that you have been delayed in giving her your work to her, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And you, excuse me for a minute. Hello? Oh, hi, Trevor. I've been trying to get in touch with you. We need to get those experiments finished so that I have to do the grant by the end of the week. Do you think your students will be able to finish them and you can analyze them? Okay. So when can we get together to do the statistics? I really need to, I think we have a better chance for the grant if we put those things in. Okay. Thursday afternoon? Yeah, that would work. 2 o'clock, yes, I'll come to your office. Okay, bye. Sorry about that, but, you know, grant timing, grant crunching. So,
I need to be able to sort something out with Dr. Smith. I need to get her to give me more time to be able to finish the experiment. I will do my level best to do that.
well, you know, she has actually talked to me about this.
She has?
She's concerned that there is no progress. There's concern that she's not, you know, she's a very, very important investigator. She brings in a lot of money to the department. She has many students who want to work with her. I mean, getting your degree, your PhD with her almost guarantees a job afterwards.
I mean, I want to work with her. I asked to work with her.
Yes, I know, and all of this is important and has been taken into consideration, but there have been many obstacles in your providing data to her, and I think her patience is just run thin.
But I was hoping that I could come to you for some guidance on how I could sort this out and work.
To be honest with you, based on how she talked to me about this, I don't think we have a lot of leeway. So you either spend the next 48 hours in the lab in a crunch and stay there and do as much as is possible for the next 48 hours and go to her with something tangible, or I would suggest that you look for another professor, another academic laboratory to work in.
How do I explain that to my wife if my wife needs support and we have to get to the hospital? Until this crisis is over, I need a little bit of leeway, and then I will do the work, I promise.
But I don't think she can wait. I mean, I understand the complete competition, but if there is such a need in family, then maybe you should consider a break from your studies, a stopping, and definitely you would have to find out a different laboratory. I don't think she will be able to, you know, to wait for you.
And those are my only options.
I don't see anything else, frankly. I really don't. I really don't. Okay, will that be all?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So that was my advice